In the year 385 CE, bearded, black-robed Christian monks destroyed the temple of Athena in Syria's Palmyra. Those early Christians decapitated and chopped off the arms of the giant statue of Athena in the temple, which was later found and restored by archaeologists in today's era. Unfortunately, the same statue was again completely destroyed by ISIS in the year 2016. This statue of the 1st century Roman general Germanicus was mutilated and a cross was carved onto its forehead, also by early Christians. This is a statue of the Roman goddess Aphrodite with its nose smashed and crosses carved on the forehead and chin. In 391 CE, the temple of Serapis in Alexandria was destroyed during riots, and later a church was built in its place. The early Christians ravaged vast swathes of classical Greco-Roman culture in Europe and Asia Minor. Like radical extremists today, the early Christians saw temples and statues not as cultural heritage but as flagrant manifestations of polytheism and devil worship. Even non-Christian people were not spared. In 415 CE, again in Alexandria, a Christian mob urged by the bishop Cyrillus lynched the female pagan philosopher Hypatia. Before Christianity swept across Europe, the continent was a mosaic of diverse pagan traditions. From the Norse gods worshipped in Scandinavia to the Celtic rituals of the British Isles to the Greek and Roman pantheon of deities, Europe was bursting with diversity. This began to change in 313 CE when the Roman Emperor Constantine I made Christianity legal and granted religious tolerance to Christians in his empire. Constantine himself was baptized on his deathbed in 337 CE. With Constantine's reign began the ruthless destruction of pagan temples, shrines, and institutions. This continued for more than a century. The perpetrators of this destruction were often monks who acted as private militias and were often beyond the control of civil institutions. In 361 CE, Emperor Julian, known as Julian the Apostate, rejected Christianity as Rome's state religion and promoted the traditional practices of Greco-Roman polytheism, but this project failed with his early death at the age of 32 years. In the year 380 CE, the Emperor Theodosius I issued the Edict of Thessalonica, making Christianity the official religion of the Roman Empire. Pagan practices were officially banned and temples were closed. By 529 CE, under the rule of Emperor Justinian I, the crushing of the pagan world was near complete. The Roman state used both persuasion and coercion to achieve this. Even beyond the Roman Empire, the Christianization of Europe was extremely destructive. The Holy Roman Emperor Charlemagne waged a 30-year-long war against the Saxon tribes, which included forced baptisms, mass executions, and the destruction of sacred sites. The massacre of Verdun in 782 CE, where 4,500 Saxons were executed for refusing to convert, is a grim reminder of Charlemagne's Christian brutality. Violence was an integral tool in spreading Christianity during this era. In Scandinavia, by the 11th century, kings like Olaf Tryggvason of Norway and Olaf II of Sweden used military campaigns and political pressure to enforce Christianity. Sacred groves were cut down, idols destroyed, and those who refused baptism faced exile or death. Through centuries of relentless violence, the destruction of sacred spaces, and the systematic banning of traditional practices, the pagan European civilization was dismantled. From the ashes of its vibrant cultural and spiritual heritage, Christian Europe arose, built upon foundations soaked in blood and intolerance. This transformation eradicated ancient traditions that had thrived for millennia. This is no different from the foreign invasions and monotheistic onslaught that Hindu civilization has faced. The meteoric rise of Christianity in Europe was accomplished by terrible violence, including demolition of temples, burning of books, vandalism of statues, etc. Much like what foreign invaders did in what is now Afghanistan and Pakistan, Christianity's rise caused the annihilation of the existing pagan traditions in Europe. The story of Europe's conversion to Christianity is not just a reminder of the region's non Christian past, but also a reminder of how we Hindus resisted foreign invaders to ensure the survival of our culture and civilizational heritage.